On. Oh, thank you, man. And it's good to see some of my old friends too. So cool guys. Yeah. Um, just a little bit of metaphor or analogy of what Chris gave. I loved the analogy. If all of you heard us, he talked of the red apple. Now we all love red apples, but we want to make sure the water and the nutrients are flowing right to it. If the fertilizer is not coming in at the right time, you don't get a best apple. So the key for your red apple is understanding your process. So I did a quick Google search just before our call to see what is IDC talking of process inefficiency. We love in this, we love AI. We are going in the quantum era. Just you have seen Google. 20 to 30% of the businesses on an average are losing $1 billion in a Fortune 500 company just because of process inefficiency. Not to talk about the customer satisfaction, not to talk of top line, not to talk of bottom line. They are fundamentally having a problem. One of them talked about, hey, we have a problem. We're moving SAP from an ECC, an on-prem, to the cloud, right? Finally, everybody is understanding whether it's a technology, whether it's a merger and acquisition. The first thing, the key before you do any kind of world-class automation, understanding your process. If you don't understand the process, then everything else goes for a tailspin. The world of process mining has been there for 2016. I think even before. I don't know how many of you have been in the era of RPA. Uh, I partnered with this company where I'm an advisor called Re-vive. The reason why I looked at them is Kumar, by the way, he just came back from India. He's a founder. His throat is choked, so I'm just stealing his show for three reasons. We need a process mining solution that's up on the ground and running in less than a week or a two or a three, not months, not bunch of consultants who take big checks. Second thing is I need to run a business process that's only valid for me. I don't want the world's hunger for me. And the third thing is I need a solution that's both hybrid and on-prem. The presentation I can show, but I think the best is to show the demo of the tool where it has power for the pack. Kumar, would you mind to present the tool?
Sure.
And
Thanks,
then we can
Ramesh.
make it completely conversational.
Yeah. So thanks, Ramesh. Thanks, Tommy. And thanks, everyone, for joining this call. And as Ramesh mentioned, process mining is relatively new, but it has gained a lot of focus as it became a really critical cog in the digital transformation and hyper automation and all that. So, in a nutshell, if I have to capture what Ramesh told, this is what we do. So and also Aaron and Vijay mentioned about the processes, which are like order to cash, order to invoice, procure to pay. And when it comes to healthcare, the patient flow or the operational room efficiency, where like it's cost like about $100 per minute kind of thing. How can we optimize that process? Emergency ER admissions on the average take 4.5 hours, right? To in the US, can we optimize that? Yes, we can. The process is complicated. What is the problem currently is nobody has visibility into the process. So what we do is simply from the existing digital footprints of these processes, be it coming from SAPs or JD Edwards or the Pegas or any of those, and we take the digital footprints from multiple sources to give you a 360-degree view of the process within 2 to 3 weeks, as Ramesh was telling. This is what it's going to look like. I'm going to show you a demo of for a banking one. Keep in mind, we are process agnostic. What this means is, for us, it doesn't matter whether the process is customized process or the process is per patient flow in a hospital or for a banking or for supply chain or any of those. The tool is independent. We are the only tool that is independent, pretty much um, process agnostic, and we can take data from even from IoT devices and map you what is the workflow looks like. So that is the gist of it. What I'm going to show you all is a banking process there, and if time permits, I'll try to show patient flow or order fulfillment. There are several cases we have done for the across the business processes. So what I'm going to show you is a customer onboarding for a typical bank. customer onboarding, this is not the retail onboarding. This is for business. So, for example, any company that wants to do business, the first thing the bank needs to do is account opening. This involves we all know this. ACH, KYCs, and the KYCs and all these AML related the due diligence they have to do. There is a lot of activities that happen in account opening, setting up wire transfer, issuing the business cards, etc. Very typical one. We all can agree that how this process can be complicated, is complicated for most of the banks behind the scenes, and how we are able to do that. To give an example, what we gather the data is from more than 4 different data systems, and there is about 953 service requests, meaning it could be an account opening, or for an existing customer, we need to set up wire transfer for this North America and for Europe as well. And then those are the service type of products and service requests in this data existed. And the total amount of data for this pilot or the example I'm going to show is about the digital footprints are about 8.28 million digital footprints from these 4 data sources. We completed in 2 weeks. And the amount of, this is very critical. Most of the clients, they will say look, yeah, tool is good, the platform looks good, we need the output, but what is involved in it? How much time do I have to spend with you? It's almost zero. If there is these systems are known systems like SAP's, Pegasus, or ServiceNow, we know which data elements we need to extract for our tool to platform to work. The only time we may have to spend is your process is having so many attributes, process attributes. What are all the ones that are important for you? That is the only time we spend, and we take everything into the picture to give the 360 view. And we'll share the deck again as standard. And these are some of the key highlights, what the output is, the overall objective of this particular use case is the bank wants to reduce the customer cycle time by 25%. There could be other SLAs depending on the process. So a supply chain could be costing just the last mile alone for a big organization is costing $500 million. Can we reduce it? Absolutely, yes. So depending on what kind of lens you want to wear, the platform is the same. It will give you all those automation, operational efficiency, or productivity analysis, and everything. So with that, I'm going to show you the demo. While doing so, some of you might have a question about well, the organizations do have BI. How different are we with the business intelligence platform these organizations have? Time and again, we have seen a lot of organizations having these Tableaus, Power BIs, and everything. So we all know that they are good at finding highlighting the problems. These problems are like symptoms of a problem, right? They're not giving you where, when, and how it is happening in the process. Obviously, the process is very complicated. There is no way these BI tools can look at all those unstructured activities that are happening. So with that, I'm going to show the same demo. This is again customer onboarding for B2B. So what you are looking at is, as mentioned, ladies, about this is the main entry screen normally the process analyst uses. There is a executive dashboards. There is a process health. Process owners can look at the process recommendation. There is a lot of features, but I'll try to go through as much as possible. This is the first landing one. What you are looking at is the for a particular product, I have selected wire transfer. These are all the products you can see that setting up online banking, account opening, and then ACH fraud prevention. These are all the various products that the bank offers. And keep in mind, each one of these can have its own workflow behind the scenes. In essence, what the Re-vive platform did is it created 130 process maps for all of these 130 products. What we are looking at is currently the wire transfer services. And as I mentioned, the total request that happened for the period of the data we used for this use case is about 953, about 1 million service requests, out of which there are 5,500 wire transfer setting up requests that happen. Now, what we are looking at is like some quick stats. I'll go through that one. The fastest one is 0. We can drill into that if needed. But what is alarming is the average time that this particular case, this organization took 4.69 days to set up wire transfer for these 5,000 plus service requests that happened. The slowest one happened to be more than 6 months. You can drill into that. And also what we are telling the bank is, I switched off the comments, but like if you can speak, I can also talk. Eric? I mean, I don't have the visual for
Hi.
chat.
No, I'm sorry. Is that I cannot. Hi, how are you? I cannot make any chats because I seem not to be part of the chat group. I don't know who
Tommy, you can add
enables
him.
that.
It should be open to everybody. You can't see the chat.
I see the chat. I mean, but it says I cannot write into it because I'm not a part of it.
Interesting. I will see what I can do, Eric.
Yeah.
Give me a sec.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just so you know, I'm looking at all of this conversation from the IoT enterprise perspective, which is what we do.
Mhm.
So we have middleware platforms that handle gazillions of data points per second. And then we control all the data flow from multiple data sources. And we're looking to integrate with AI at the service level desk, but also at the IT telemetry point, like, hey, tell me how's my predictive maintenance today on my machines, or tell me what's the story going on my data centers today, and stuff like that, you know? So I'll be interacting later with you guys.
So Eric, real quick. I think you're showing busy. I think it's because you're showing busy is why you can't chat. I
I'm
think.
showing busy because I'm with you. What do you mean? I don't know what do you mean. What do you mean?
No, because all the other ones that I pop up, you're the only one that has a red deal saying busy. So if your status is busy,
Show
it might
us
block
free.
it. Yeah, show us free. I see if that works. I can't. I'm looking for any other
I
reason why.
I already show us free.
Okay, let's see if you can chat real quick.
Yeah. Ramesh and Dana, if you can monitor the
I
chat.
didn't mean to interrupt. I mean,
Yeah,
No
Eric, you
problem.
can put it
Go
on the
ahead.
chat
Go
and
ahead.
comment
No.
on it.
Questions are good. Questions are good.
Okay, go ahead.
you
Go ahead.
cannot send messages because you are not a member of the chat.
Hey guys, we need an AI agent for this, man. That's a
Yeah,
good
no,
joke
so
by Paul.
I'll look and see what I can do, Eric.
For this?
Yeah.
No.
You have emails of all of ours, Eric. We can also interact, and certainly would be more than happy to do a private conversation as well too.
Yes,
Well,
I
and
would
that's what
love to.
you didn't
Yeah.
hear Kumar because I knew you're traveling. I appreciate you doing this because you're sick. But yeah, Eric, I don't know if you were on when we first said we're going to do a follow up. I'm going to follow up with everybody, and you tell me which ones you're interested in talking to, and then we will have for each of these vendors, we will have a second one on where they're the only one, and it goes longer, and we go into detail. So if we can certainly set up all the conversations for sure.
Right.
Not a problem.
And if anybody needs, to integrate, which we're integrating with multiple companies for real-time data source manipulation, enrichment, transformation from multiple sources and telemetries, that's sort of what we do.
Okay.
Okay.
See,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah. Thanks, Eric. So, I'll just quickly try to finish up where I stopped. So we are showing some stats about like what exactly has happened with that, about this 5,000 plus service requests for setting up wire transfer. The average time is about 4.5 days. The slowest one is 6 months. And what we are also telling the bank is, look, Mr. Bank, your process for setting up wire transfer is taking 26 different paths, right? So here we are showing the top 10 paths for that. The very first one, here is the not so good news, but also there is some silver lining to this. Let me click on this. The very first one, 48% of your request out of that 5,000 went through this particular path. And still the average time is about like 4 days. So the good news is they can easily correct this one. And we'll show you like how you can do that as well using the Re-vive 2 platform itself in a minute. So what we are looking at is a transactional view, right? We narrowed it down to one of the variants that is one of the big variants that is taking time, right? There is a lot of rework happening. We'll come to that in a minute. So the blue lines indicate the straightforward path. How did we know this one? This is our USP. So from the existing digital footprints, we are the ones that is telling the bank, this is how your path looking for these 2,600, cause 48% of your transactions looking like this. The blue lines are straightforward path. The algorithms will pick it up. And also it has the ability to calculate the rework. Anytime you see a red line or an arrow going back, that means it's a redundant work or rework going back to the earlier steps. Now, we are looking at the transactional view. Let's go and look at the time view. This is where like when you want to actually narrow it down. The tool also gives you the ability to automatically highlight the ones that are causing you the problem. The ones in the
Kumar.
darker red is taking more time. Yes, Ramesh.
You
Or
have a
someone?
question. Paul has a question for you.
Yeah, just quick, because I'm a process model geek. The way you're representing the process here looks like a formal model. I don't recognize it, but can you comment as you go through this? How do you obtain that in order to apply an LLM to it to have these benefits?
Yeah. So let me try to confirm your question. Your question is like, how did we came up with this one, right? Is that the question? It's like, how does this process, and let me go back and show you like one by one.
An LLM AI needs language to work with. So what language are you expressing the process model in?
Okay. Yeah. So this is a deterministic model. What you are looking at is 100% represent digital twin of your process. There is no AI involved at this point. There is AI module I'll show you in a minute. But what you are looking at is when you have this many number of transactions and the number of, when you go and do a query on your database, and you will find this many number of service requests that happen. And for service wire transfer, you would find 5,564 wire transfer requests. So in essence, this is deterministic model. This is our USP so far. And there is no one that does it as a digital twin. This is an accurate digital twin MRI scan of your process as is. The AI component is there, what we call as a Re-vive Jenny. I'll show you in a minute. It will be useful on top of these process maps to ask the questions. In other words, to converse with your process. But this process maps is deterministic in nature. Hopefully answer your question.
I think there's a little bit of hesitation, Paul. Paul, these are digital footprints which are like system logs and numbers which are in the system. At that point, you really don't apply LLM. You take those IDs and the traces, what we call, and convert the heuristics into a process map. Once a process map is built and you look at all the kinds of bottlenecks and efficiencies, then you can start applying LLM. By the way, everybody's so obsessed about LLM. Diagnostic analytics is also part of an AI spectrum. If you really want a Gen AI, you really need diagnostic and predictive to kind of help you with LLMs. So until you build this basic heuristics, or what Doug loves to talk as ontology, until you get this, you really can't start conversing with the business process.
Okay, thank you, Ram. So you're looking at the data and extracting the process model. Is that what I heard?
The logs.
Exactly.
The logs.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
So the process model itself is expressed in what? What language?
So the process model language is in the industry is BPM 2.0, business process model language. What this is showing you is a start to stop of how the process flows. Real time.
Right.
The BPM is more of a static in nature. So you can convert, because this is showing you what is happening in your system, what can happen is, let's say you zero on one of the process, like what we call as a variant. Like if you see here, there are how many Kumar have become aged or what? I see 10 variants or 15 variants. Each variant is a linear, or I would say a flow of step-by-step activity.
Yes.
You can then convert into a BPM model.
Right. Okay. But are you applying an LLM to that model extraction?
Not to the extraction. Post-extraction, to converse, we use LLM.
Okay. So to help you communicate with
Correct.
the results that were extracted. Okay. That's great.
There is,
BPMN I'm very familiar with, and it's
and Paul, remind me to get you with Roop too. Roop has an idea for a product that he wants to build. I think you would be instrumental in helping him at least think through it. So
yeah,
your
it's
BPM
fascinating
background.
to me because this is great. The value here I see. Another thing I see that even SAP with Signavio doesn't understand the questions I ask them is
That's
looking
because
at
you
a
have to
system,
write.
looking at a system and extracting a real BPM model in the BPMN 2.0 language, and then applying training through LLM to that is wide open greenfield. Process mining is looking at the results of the process computation. I get that. It's not looking at the process model, and I think there's gold in them there hills, but it's downstream.
Actually, since you brought this up, we'll talk. It's a very good question. So BPM is generally static in nature. It doesn't change more often.
It's
That's a
simply
fact.
it's typically structure in nature.
Correct.
And leaves
Right.
out the behavior because they don't know how to draw behavior on PowerPoint diagrams.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's been the bane of BPM for 20 or 40 years. Why it goes? And actually, I have a friend of mine who's Doug, who also is very close. Process mining actually gave life to the BPM guys. Otherwise, all of them would have been fired because
Yeah.
nobody knows what happens into the systems. So process mining is an area which can actually amplify BPM in the right way.
Absolutely. And I see it. I see the value of that.
Yes.
But then it can also automate the behavioral side of process model.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
exact
But nobody
idea.
gets it yet, particularly in a big IT department at a company like HP.
Remind me, get you and Paul together.
Sounds
Thanks.
good. Can I ask a question to
Fascinating
Ram?
stuff.
Just
Sure, go ahead. Of course. It's open.
yeah, so just continuing on what Paul was asking, I want to clarify what we are looking at here. Are you taking the mining or the execution data of the process and then converting it back to a model as a BPM model? Or you're just taking the execution data and then converting into some kind of textual interface to speak or interchange with an LLM?
Yeah. So there is no LLM involved, right? We are all clear. There is a lot of algorithms that were involved in this one generating, but no LLM because it has to be deterministic. That's what we take pride on. When we are showing something, this is actually a true representation as is, and it can be cross-checked with the actual each of those workflow engine. So to back to your point, so you can define a great workflow that is modified in a BPM to ERP platform or any using the BPM diagram, right? It will have all the decision making. If the invoice is over 5,000, it requires approval 1. If the invoice is over 50,000, it requires approval 1, 2, 3, or what, etc. And then there will be custom invoices that are coming. What happens in reality is, from a transactional perspective, nobody knows like how many paths were being traversed, what kind of conditions from the BPM diagram or the workflow defined are executing, where the delays are happening, right? So the workflows are where you define how the transaction should be, where the process maps you are looking at is like how it is actually happening in reality.
Exactly. I'm in alignment with you. And that is the exact reason that Ram, when you stated there's so many inefficiencies, is because the process is defined one way or should work this way, but it does not work that way. And hence you get all the inefficiencies. My question is, how much in detail do you go in reverse? Once you have the execution data, do you create a model that says, listen, this is how the process is working today, although you defined it in this manner, but it is working in a different manner? Do you have a visual to show that?
Yes. Yeah, that is where these variations comes in, right? So the platform automatically bucketized into 26 different paths that happen, right? So ideally, why are there 26 different paths? And the first path is what we are looking at. The 48% of those went like this particular path I was showing you earlier, right? And then we also identify the golden path. The tool this should be your ideal path. Let me click on that, right? So if you look at it, setting up wire transfer should be very simple like this. And this took hardly a day. So this is their ideal golden path. And the good news is 12% of their work requests went through this golden path. We also have the worst path. And to your point, now what the organization can do is, well, I can use this. And if I'm going to acquire a bank, or I want to train my people why this process is not followed, I can simply export this to a BPM editor, right? What this gives you is that process model in a BPM workflow, but what it misses is the actual decision boxes, which you can add. And because your documentation may got old, but like this is your latest one, I can add a service task and a user task or manual one and document this and give it to my people to get trained on this. This is your golden path. You can document it as BPM and 2.0, like what I'm showing, and export it to the Pegasus, Visio, etc. We are compliant with that.
Are you
Back to
actually
Ruth's question.
extracting on the edges information about the data flows in BPM attributes? Or is that just the structure we looked at?
Oh, this is the same process model exported into BPM, and you
BPM
have
structure, though it's
Yeah,
structure,
yeah.
right? Not behavior.
It is structure. Yeah.
it is structure. Yeah, but what we give you is a studio. You can add all these tools. I mean, all these things to
The BPM
define.
flows.
BPM flows. But this gives you a very
And to
good quick starting point.
And to Roop, we are not. So the technology or the platform is capable of consuming as much data as possible. Actually, Doug had typically, if you want, these days companies are putting into lake houses. So we connect to Databricks, but if not, the beauty of this tool is it connects to your existing systems, even a SQL Server database.
Yeah.
So if your database has
I
as much
get it.
footprint,
You're extracting what's actually happening.
Yes.
And then if you convert it to BPM and hold it up to the finance architect's PowerPoint diagram.
So this kind of
They're
goes
gonna
back to
be
what we were
different.
not to dream a little dream, but this is kind of like what we were talking about with some of the call that we got on Paul with the 10 different companies where we were talking about agents for master data management, customer data management, right? If we can go first extract it, if we can have agents go extract what's happening, then theoretically the next size of that is then we can go tell the agents what to do, right?
Yes.
So
yeah,
right.
there's
Yes.
part
And
of the
so-
tech.
Some of the other EA enterprise architecture tooling out there that's getting into Gen AI is trying to extract the diagrams that the humans drew.
Paul, you just hit on that. I was one of the earliest guys to integrate Signavio with LeanIX. So the problem for enterprise architects is they don't understand the heck of what's happening in the business process once the system
That's
goes
right.
live.
And they think
you have
PowerPoint is a
insights.
process modeling
Correct.
tool.
Exactly. So when you have insights, when you go back to your CIO and talk of these are all the problems with our process, and this is how we can apply the bots. The digital twin of an organization for an enterprise is actually
I totally get it. I mean, we'll talk
that's it.
offline. I'd
Yep.
love to talk with
So-
you more about this.
Yeah.
This is a huge opportunity,
Yes.
but but Gen AI is going for the low hanging fruit. Improving
Let
the
me-
intelligence of
right.
process mining is an obvious one that you guys are taking advantage of. And Signavio and Biz Design are saying, I'll look at your diagrams and generate your BPM structure for you. But I still can't simulate it and tell you if it's a good process.
Yeah.
I can
All
draw
right,
a
we got-
picture of it, but I can't tell
keep
you why
everybody in,
it's
I want
not
to make
working.
sure. So Paul, I want to make sure anybody else out there have any questions, and then I would say you got about 5 to 7 minutes to wrap up. So if
Yeah,
there's some other
thanks,
stuff you want to show real quick.
Yeah, let me show you the very two critical functionality, right? So this tool is like showing you the history. And what I want to show you is a quickly two or three features. So if I want to compare, this is geared towards giving you the continuous instrumentation of monitoring and monitoring of your process, right? You can compare last month versus current month, etc., by using a swim lane feature. So you can actually literally use this as a canvas board for taking like if there is a salesperson involved, how is the salesperson Kumar is doing in comparison with Ramesh? So you can do that side by side. Currently, we are showing the variant 2 versus variant 3, and you are looking at the differences. The purple ones are the ones that are different from each other, and you can see the difference in the average time between each one of those. So you can quickly see that. This is a feature that can help you look at the two areas of your process, either by date or in combination with a person or geography or by product, whichever way you want to look at it. Very critical
And
for
you're
you
doing
to.
this algorithmically, correct?
This is our proprietary algorithm
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
being
okay.
patented. Yes. Yeah.
Do you see in your own tooling, product planning, a way to let an LLM do that comparison for you?
Well, what we have is a little bit more than that. Let me show you that. So the other one I want to show you is, that's the last one I want to show. We also give you the not only finding the problems, like, I mean, what if I want to optimize one of my variant or the whole process, right? I could actually take this and say, like, I want to give it to Infosys or somebody to outsource this particular activity that is taking me a lot of time. And I may say, like, I want to reduce this by 80 hours, and my cost may increase because to do that. And if I want to see like how my process looks like, it will give you exactly the what would be the simulated one, what kind of cost you are looking at, what would be the overall reduction in time. So this is one feature that will help you do all that. Where the Gen AI come into picture is we have created our own kind of rag on steroids, because everybody knows the problems, right? The hallucinations, the use case, and then the other problem is the accuracy. So what we did is we wrote wrapper algorithms on top of it. Any LLM, it works with OpenAI, ChatGPT, Gemini, or any of those. And what you can do is this ability to converse with your process. Identify the top 3 activities by rework in my process. You can just converse into it. What is guaranteed is the accuracy of the data, right? There is no, I'm not like me in how much problem we face with the numbers. So this is our own algorithm on top of an LLM giving you the accurate data. So you can also ask a recommendation. Eventually, we will work with having the agentic AI to fix all those problems.
Kumar, it does a spell check, right?
We don't need to do. I'll just deliberately type and see.
Type ahead on crack.
Yeah. So it's just the generic AI. Like, I mean, it knows humans are
Okay,
bad at
so
spelling.
here what you're showing us is this AI agent is using an LLM, and what did you train the LLM with?
It's our own proprietary algorithms that sit on top of all the LLMs that has the ability to get you the actual numbers, number one. This is eventually, right now, it is not reading any of the company's bank's documents, but we do have the capability to read that. And then now it can actually tell you based on that, like, I mean, your policies, for example, in mortgage loan approval process, each state has its own regulations, and it may give you if you have those policies available, that is the training that this tool is capable of. Right now, in this use case, we didn't train anything. This is out of box as is. The algorithms will kick in, and it has the basic algorithms that gives you a generic way to fix it. But if you want a specific for that use case, it can be easily trained on the company's policy documents, right, or whichever they want.
But the basic LLM that you're using, it is one of the public ones?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So the corpus of how it talks about process models comes from the public LLM knowledge. No. And then you're using RAG, as Ron put in the text, to narrow the context and include information from what you just showed on the display. But it's not it's not like you've trained your LLM on proper business process design and it can comment on the quality of the design. Because I don't know where you find a corpus of that to train with, right? That's not out there in GitHub.
No,
I think building an LLM is 40 to 60 million, not worth any of our money. Best is using a slingshot of RAG and fine tune it to your process.
Yeah. So the banks prefer their private ones. For that, we suggest like using Azure OpenAI or Azure AI. So which is like you can have your private version and guaranteed. By the way, we kill every session, so you don't have. There is a lot of security involved, obviously, if you are already sold this to banks, right? To your question, what happens when this one is giving you that this particular activity in the process is taking 756.14 days? Is actually behind the scenes we are executing that. Re-vive is executing that and feeding the LLM back. So it's not the LLM is giving you this answer. Our algorithms are the ones that are giving the LLM saying that, like, you know what, this is what you need to let the user know. So
all right, I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna jump in because I gotta be respectful of everybody, right? So is there any other thing that you want to show very quickly before we go? Like very quickly, like 30 seconds.
Hey, Tommy, David had a question. Kumar, can you go to the graphic? Yeah.
Which one? The process map?
The prior one, I think. No, not this one. The dashboards, Kumar.
Okay.
David, you can speak.
It was the first one you showed in this section, I think. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.